What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to episode 35 of Nostalgia Mania, the ultimate nostalgic trip of games, movies, toys, and memories that shaped the golden era of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. I am your host, the real Josh Elliott, and with me, as always, the one and only Brian J. Bebe. What's up, man? How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. You were on location this week.
On location.
Where are you at this week? I know you mentioned it last week. Where are you at going this week?
I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Minnesota. So you mentioned before we got onto the podcast, you had a fairly early flight to get up there yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I was up at 2:30 in the morning yesterday for a 5 a.m. flight. So yesterday was a little long, but we're here, and actually, it's not really as cold as everybody thinks. It was about 80 degrees today. It's about 65 yesterday, 80 degrees today.
That's nice weather, man.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Not too bad.
You probably would not say the same thing in December, but nonetheless.
No, I've been here in December, in Rochester, which is about an hour and 15 minutes south.
Yeah.
Right after the Super Bowl, I was here, and it was probably about 3 degrees for 2 weeks that I was here.
Jeez.
Yeah, very cold.
Yeah, I feel for you, man. I've been there. Those really early mornings. You got to get that 5 o'clock flight or whatever. So you got to get the airport by 4. So You're leaving your house by 3 o'clock at the latest. But that's crazy. Man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun episode. Today we're kind of throwing it back to those creative, glittery, popping profile pages. Embedded music tracks and that iconic top 8 friends list. We're going down that memory lane of MySpace, one of the first and really the path of social media, or not really the birth, because there was a few before this, but this kind of exploded on the scene here in early 2000s, and this kind of paved the way for what we know now as Facebook, Instagram. Before all that, it was MySpace.
It is MySpace, yes, sir.
MySpace, man. So, before we jump into this, we are live on all social media platforms we normally are. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook at JSE Studios. We're also got an Instagram, TikTok, X, and Twitch. All the same thing, JSE Studios or The Real Josh Elliott. We got all of our podcast episodes on Apple and Spotify. Go check those out. If you are a podcast listener, we greatly appreciate the follow, the likes on those pages, and you can interact with the episodes. That's even better. Go check us out on whatever podcast platform that you listen to. But our video library, for those of you who like to watch the podcast, watch the audio video cast, I guess is what you call it. We're on YouTube. All of our episodes, all 35 of them now, are up on the YouTube page. So we greatly appreciate all of your support as we head into. We're getting close to that year mark, man. I mean, we've got a few more months left, but we're already at episode 35. I know that you're kind of new to the Nostalgia Mania family, but
kind of new hosting, not new watching and subscribing.
New host, long time watcher, I guess is what you say.
Always have to support my family.
I appreciate it. Where speaking of, where can everybody follow you, Brian J, on social media?
Everybody can follow me in the same place as my username, Brian J _Bebe. I did get that finally switched on Twitter last week, I think. So I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Fantastic. Go give Brian a follow if you have not already. He would greatly appreciate it. Last week, man, we dove into one of the best arcade games to have ever been created, and that's NBA Jam. We talked Chicago Bulls. We talked how we could have had Mortal Kombat characters in the game. We talked about our favorite teams, the worst teams, stories from gas stations where you would dump thousands of dollars in to play other kids.
Probably thousands, yes. We talked about the billions that people spent in the first year, the first months, even the millions. It was ridiculous.
NBA Jam grossed more in the 3-month period that Jurassic Park was in theaters. It made more money than the movie Jurassic Park did while it was in theaters. That's, again, one of the craziest stats I've ever heard. But shows you how popular it was. But you guys can go check that out. That's on all the platforms we just mentioned, as well as all of our other episodes. Let's dive into this, man. Do you remember your first? I guess not first, because I guess you could have had more than one. But do you remember having a MySpace page?
I had one, but like I was telling you before we popped on the show, I didn't really have it very long, maybe 6 months. It just came at a time for me personally where I was very busy working 2 jobs. 2003, my second son was born when it came out. So, having a young family, 2 jobs, it was kind of hard to get on there all the time. But I do remember a couple of things about it. So were you able to get in on all the fun, Josh?
Yeah, I had a MySpace page. It was my second social media account. My first one was on Zanga. We talked about that last week. I had a Zanga, which was technically just for blogs, and you could put your picture on there.
Sure.
And then MySpace kind of revolutionized. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But they given you the tools to make whatever you wanted on your page, which was pretty cool. Tell me you remember this guy, though. Tom, yeah, your first friend.
Tom was everybody's friend.
Oh, yeah.
Not just your first friend. He was everybody's friend.
Yeah.
Such a great guy.
A great guy. Founded in 2003, MySpace, by none other than Tom Anderson and Chris DeWolf. So everybody knows who Tom is, right? The picture is synonymous to MySpace. Anytime you hear the word Tom, you're going to most likely, those, especially the millennials, are going to immediately think to Tom Anderson of MySpace. But not many people know who Chris DeWolf is, who I've got a screenshot here, who co-founded MySpace with Tom. He was the CEO all the way up until 2009. And since then, DeWolf became the CEO of a video game developer, which he co-founded, called Jam City. So you guys can go check out Jam City. That's still developing video games to this day. I wish I had a list of games that they've created, but you guys can go check that out. But that's a little history behind Mr. Chris DeWolf. And so MySpace, man, this like we said, it was the paved the way for the social media that we know today, and it had its early competition. And I wanted to know if you had any of these other ones. So Zanga is one of them, but Zanga was kind of on its way down when MySpace was created. Did you have a Zanga account?
I did not have a Zanga account.
Didn't have a Zanga? What about
Zanga is still kind of new to me, honestly.
You didn't? You never heard of Zanga?
I heard of it, but I don't really know a lot about it.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was kind of like a blog, and like you had said, you could put your picture on there, and it was blog type.
Yep.
But I didn't really know a whole lot about it other than that.
Yep. Yeah, we got to have a quick bonus episode on Zanga, because it's similar to MySpace, but less intuitive, less creative. What about Friendster?
Never had that. No, I'll be honest, like I didn't really have a whole lot. I've had MySpace, and until then, I think after MySpace I got Facebook. and I had Facebook for almost exactly 60 days, just because it's kind of like it was a little worse than Twitter is now for me personally, just because of the friends that I have and one or two family members. It's just nothing but complaints, and it was just miserable. I had it for 2 months in 2015, and I can't do this, and deleted it.
I don't blame you. I've kind of been sucked into it because I got MySpace, I got Facebook right around the time it transferred over from the college scene and kind of opened up to anybody, and I kind of been there ever since. So I've been a Facebook user since basically 2006 ish.
I gotcha. So, could I get it in the future? Possibly. It just right now it doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, will you? Highly unlikely.
will I? We'll see in a few years.
There you go.
But like right now, not really.
It's a dumpster fire out there, Brian.
Yeah.
I'll just say you're not missing much not being on there.
I have fun on TikTok and Instagram Reels, and I'm good.
Yep. So Friendster, like I said, I didn't have a Friendster either. It was an early competitor to MySpace. AOL Instant Messenger they have on here, which is kind of weird. That's just an instant messaging platform, but it had it listed. Early Facebook, but those were the competition back then, right? And you had blogs, you had top 8 friends or top 10. I believe it transformed from 5 to 8 to 10, and I think it might have even been 20 at one point.
When I had it, I believe it was 5.
It was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So, do you have any? I know you didn't use it very much, but do you have any stories or memories of using the platform back in 2003?
So when I had it, I've always been into music. So basically, I followed a lot of music, and a few friends, like from the bowling alley, because my part-time job, I worked for 13 years from, basically 2002 to 2015. I was a part-time bartender at a bowling alley that my cousin's husband was the manager of, just because he said he needed a part-time bartender on Mondays and Saturdays, which after the first year turned into Thursdays and Saturdays. And he's like, you can stay for this year and leave, or you can stay on as long as you want. And I ended up lasting 13 years. So I guess I heard about it from a couple of bowlers. And so I got on there, and I started following like some bands and some people on there. And that's kind of where I would like find some new music, and I would check out profiles because I wanted to hear what music they had. So I would kind of do that, and I was really big into bands that no one's heard of, which I still kind of am.
Yeah.
I found like one of my favorite bands at that time, because I had seen them some years before, probably 10 years before. It's a band called Gravity Kills from St. Louis. So I always had a Gravity Kills song as my background music. And so awesome. I don't know. I remember checking it out and having like my background pictures and stuff like that, and just checking out people's music was my big deal on there.
Music was a big thing for MySpace. It was kind of the platform that launched a lot of those underground bands that you may not have ever heard of otherwise. It gave them a platform to kind of display their songs to a broader group of people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard, you know more of the obscure bands, but there's a couple bands that I've got listed here that, and I say obscure, I mean less known.
Sure.
bands. Panic at the Disco
Yep.
was kind of launched on MySpace. Not really, but I mean, they became noticed on MySpace.
They became bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. The Arctic Monkeys. I'm not
Mm.
sure if you know who the Arctic Monkeys are.
That's where I found the Arctic Monkeys, and I do like the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah. And the other one I have listed is Hollywood Undead. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure what. I've never heard of that one, but I heard of the first two. Like, just exploded in 2003, 2004. The bands were making pages. Right. They were releasing their songs on their page, where you could go stream or listen to those. Like,
yeah, bands would do that. It was a good tool for, like, it wasn't just a good tool for bands. It was a good tool if you were like promoting something. It was a good way to promote.
Yeah. Yep. And it gained these the band started getting followers. They started getting more popular. You would choose different songs as your profile, like we talked about here. And for those of you watching live, you can see the screenshot here. This is a blurry, but you can see what a profile would look like when you went to a MySpace page. The whatever background image you wanted, the same, you can do that now on your background image of your computer, but you can see here it's very very early 2000-esque. On the screenshot, you can see the profile picture there. There's music playing. You can see in the middle of the screen the play button, which would usually automatically start playing once you loaded the page up. And you could design this page however you wanted. I'm pretty sure you could move these boxes around to different spots of the page. If you wanted to put your top 8 list on the left-hand side and put your blogs on the right, you could do that. It was all in an HTML, and we kind of teased it last week. It turned you into DIY coders. You learned how to do HTML. You learned how to code a web page by using MySpace, whereas you may not have ever known how to do it.
It made you feel like you were doing something, like you could log on to Facebook and stuff and put your pictures on there, and do a background picture and do your profile picture, but there you actually move stuff around like you were saying and doing all that stuff, and it made you feel more of a part of it.
Yeah, way more creativity back then. I remember, I wish I had, I posted it on our social medias. You guys can go check it out. But there was a tweet that somebody said that they wished X or Twitter would allow them to pick a song and have it play their favorite song when they visited their page. Mm-hmm. And then someone replied, "Oh wow, it's a generation who has never heard of MySpace and thinks they're coming up with something creative."
Oh yeah, it was a good thing.
I think Gen Z would honestly really enjoy something like MySpace. Make Instagram, because they're they don't do Facebook. They're more into the Instagram and the TikTok. You make a social media like that, but give them the creativity that MySpace gave them, and it's off to the races. I'm surprised we don't have something like that, honestly.
And I think that's why people are like TikTok quite a bit and Instagram Reels and stuff like that, because we had MySpace and now they're kind of doing similar stuff with that.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And so not only did we have, like we said, the music and the background, but you could also have, this was the introduction of GIFs. Now, let's back up. Yeah. Do you say GIFs or GIFs?
I say GIFs.
Okay, I do too.
Because I know how to. Just because, I mean, you do too, so we obviously know how to pronounce.
I was hoping you said GIF so that I could just give you some shit about it, but we both pronounce it correctly, so we're good.
I think Chase says GIFs.
Yeah, somebody, it might be Chase. Somebody says GIFs, and I don't understand. We're not eating peanut butter here. It's
I'm saying Chase just to give him some crap.
It might, yeah. I can't. It's somebody close to me that says GIFs, and it might be him.
Well, if I
But
don't give Chase shit, then he thinks that I'm mad at him or something.
oh yeah, we're gonna clip it. We're gonna play it for him. I'll make sure to send him this clip. So, but it had GIFs. It had scrolling text on the screen where you could just have like something go across the top of your page. Mm-hmm. Like I said, creativity was endless on this.
It was, if we're honest, it's kind of ahead of its time.
Yep.
I think that may have been led to the downfall of it.
How so?
And selling it out to corporations, because I think that you had a lot of people that used it, but once they sold it, because when did they sell that?
I think it was
in 2008 or 2005 to 2009. It was purchased by News Corp, and News Corp owned it, and then in 2009. Facebook took it over. So I think it was Facebook kind of made some changes on the app and the website that kind of led to its downfall.
Yep.
Because they were trying to rise to where MySpace was. So, if we make MySpace less fun, then so maybe if MySpace came out, 2010, 2015, and you're like, oh, hey, I can do all this stuff. And it would be, I think they would just take off.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. I think you're onto something. I think the 2008, the Facebook pairing might have been the downfall. I mean, it was already kind of starting to, because Facebook did skyrocket just like MySpace did.
It did.
Around that 2006, 2008, 2009 era. I mean, it still was booming into the middle to 2015, 2016. It's still gaining people now, honestly, but there's no creativity. That's the biggest thing. The biggest thing. Customization and creativity were the big things here. And you don't have this on social medias anymore. You don't have a top 8 that you can rank your friends and cause no issues at school the next day when you go to class and somebody realizes they fell off your top 8, or they're ranked number 6 and they think they should be number 2. What do you remember ranking people, and who do you remember having on your top 8?
Honestly, I never ranked anybody. It was just I think I just had Tom on there. And I don't remember. I know they filled it in automatically, so I think that's what I just left it.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I said, I was only on there for a short time, so I may have had 10, 20 friends, unless a band followed me or whatever. I didn't really do as much with it.
How did that? I'm assuming that I assume. I don't remember exactly. Like, does the friend list, is that the same way like Facebook works? Like, you don't come up on each other's friends list unless you both agree to be friends. Is that kind of what that was?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. Remember they I don't know. Again, you didn't use it very often, but they used to have surveys and quizzes.
Yep.
And they had something called a bulletin board that you could kind of bullet point different things and like make it pop out on your profile. And man, nothing beats. Again, I'm showing this again just because like nothing beats the old. Again, none of these really are what I want to talk about, except for that pen pal one at the bottom one is
right.
The amount of webcam selfies that were profile pictures back then, the grainy profile pictures, and that's one of them down there. And that's just funny. You see the girl up there in the middle with the digital camera in the mirror. I guess 2 of them are doing the same thing. They're just it's just funny how you can see that image and know it was around middle of 2000s. Because you see the people, you see the old tech. So
it's quite funny.
But
yeah, I remember doing a lot of the. I did a few surveys, but I know there was a lot of polls on there as well.
Yep.
Like, what's your favorite band? And a lot of it was like bands, movies, like basically what you see on Twitter now.
Yeah, heavily music influenced for sure. I remember those. The majority of the surveys were toward the music industry, which is kind of cool. But man, do you remember this is throwing me back. We talked about the webcam selfies. I loved because we're doing the podcast now, so this is it's kind of a calling, I guess. I remember having the webcam back in the day, hooked onto my monitor. I guess it wasn't hooked onto my monitor because it was a fat, thick monitor. Yeah. But I remember the microphone being like a super skinny, like almost like a straw, and it would sit on the desk and it would come up, and then it would kind of, and it would be like, and that would be your microphone that you would use if you ever wanted to talk to somebody or whatever. And it's just funny thinking old tech and kind of what it used to be. Chase and I talked on the hot tag about our first, I guess, quote unquote podcast. We did podcasts before podcasts even existed, really, because we did it's a wrestling e-fed. We called it a radio show, and we went on a computer, sat next to each other, and recorded ourselves talking about this e-fed, and we did it on Windows Audio or Windows Sound Recorder, I think is what it was.
Oh, wow.
And what we would do, they only allowed you to do 60 seconds at a time. So we would have to record and then stop either mid-sentence or stop at the end of the sentence and then save that file and then go and and record and continue. And we did that, I think we had like 20 or 25 different files that we had to splice it all together, and it was a cluster. But we did it. I mean, it was well before podcasts were even a thing. I think it was 2000. We were still in high school, so it was early 2000s, 2004, 2003.
So what you're telling me is we need to start digging these all up.
Yeah, I mean it was.
And then we're going to all post them on our MySpace.
Yeah. Is your have you ever tried to look to see if your MySpace is still?
I have not, because I don't know. I don't honestly remember if it had. Did it use our names, or did we actually pick?
No, you can put your. I think it was your name. If you look, well, no, that's not. Those aren't usernames. I'm trying to look to see if there's any usernames on here. I think it was just real names. I don't think you had usernames.
I was going to say, if it was usernames, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Being 20-some years ago.
Have you ever I've done this before. I've done it actually just recently as of this week. Have you ever remembered an old screen name or something and gone to Google and put it, if you put it in parentheses, it'll search just that name specifically? And have you ever gone Googled yourself and looked yourself up?
I have, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
And what comes up for me is and this just happened this last weekend, this event. It's called Old Shawnee Days. Yeah. And it's a really big event, Thursday through Sunday in Shawnee. And it's like a festival. And on Sundays, they used to have a baking contest. One year, I decided that I was going to bake something. I am not a baker, but what I did was I took a box of brownies and made cookies, and I made a brookie. And then I put frosting on it and got it all good. And I entered in the baking contest, and I won second place. So when I Googled myself, that's the main thing that I found. That I won second place and a $50 gift card to Price Chopper.
What year was that?
Oh, shoot. That was... this wasn't too long ago, really. I think it's probably 6 years ago, 8 years ago.
That's funny.
I don't know. I'll Google it later and let you know.
Yeah, I might be Googling Brian J. And
I'm going to start Googling, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I'll Google my old screen names and like I'll see like different things. Sometimes I'll see like Yahoo Answers. Like there used to be a platform where people would ask questions. And I'd always go to like the wrestling section because people would ask like, "Hey, who's your favorite wrestler?" Or who's better, Undertaker or Shawn Michaels or whatever.
Right.
And it'd just be a bunch of people, and I'd see like my old answers, and some of them would be like super cringy and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't even want to see none of this stuff, but it's just funny to do that every once in a while, and it brings back that nostalgia.
Yeah.
That we talk about. But
I'm gonna have to do that now after we get done with the podcast.
But yeah, man, like we're kind of going toward the end here, the decline. We talked about the rise and how popular it was, the creativity, the music industry. The decline, you said it, 2008, the Facebook takeover kind of started that. It became very spammy. The web pages did once Facebook took it over. Did you know that Justin Timberlake attempted to reboot it in 2010?
I did not.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. And if anyone could do it, I would think he would be able to, but
he I don't think it was failed, obviously. It didn't take off.
Right.
And then I asked you about your profile. The reason I did that was because in 2019, MySpace lost 12 years of content. So if your page was among that, then your profile is probably no longer there. I think mine has been long gone. I don't think I haven't been able to find any of my old socials. Zanga, MySpace, nothing. I think they're all long gone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine's long gone.
Yeah. So how do you think, like, before we get off of here, final thoughts, tell us, like, in your words, like, how do you think MySpace kind of paved the way for how we kind of communicate with each other now, and how it paved the way for Facebook and other social media platforms?
Well, I think obviously it was big for Facebook because they ended up buying it, just for the fact that you could put your pictures on there, and kind of like you said earlier when you were showing it, there's blogs and there's all kinds of stuff. And I thought, well, you think now, well, Facebook, you can write your posts, and I think it creatively, it helped a lot of people, like, you try to be more creative. And I think that's kind of paved the way for like stuff like Instagram Reels or TikTok and stuff. And I don't know that we would eventually, I'm sure we would have gotten there, but I think it was faster because of MySpace. I think it did a lot with I think it actually helped a lot of people too, because you have a lot of people that, you may have some people with social anxiety, and like, this is a way that you can get online and be yourself and not have to worry and make friends. And I think that it was therapy for some people. But I think it was a good thing, and it just kind of got ruined. But I think it did a lot of good for the world and the community, and people to this day, like you and I are on Twitter, and you always see stuff about MySpace, or if someone does something mean, they're like, well, Tom would never do that. He was always my friend. And they'd like post his picture. I've seen his picture twice today on Twitter. So like, Tom's still popular, at least.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that social anxiety aspect of it, because you nailed it. Like, blogs were something that blew up there in the early 2000s, and you didn't have to be on camera. You didn't have to be talking through a microphone, which to some people are very timid and may not want to do that. But you could express yourself in form of a blog where you just type out, anything you're thinking. Really, it doesn't have to be anything, story driven or whatnot. You can just have like a diary or a journal online, which is kind of in essence what it was. And then, I mean, it opened up avenues for people to like you said, who may have that social anxiety and stuff. And the screenshot points right to it. You could blog, and you could get blog comments. You could get, I think, the likes. I don't know if the likes were on there at the beginning, but I think it added it to the end portion of it, where you could see who was interacting with your blogs and writing comments and stuff. So,
and
just
it was therapy also, because if you have a bad day, you can go on there and do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on board that if MySpace was relaunched today, we both are jumping on board and creating a profile.
We definitely are. And JSC Studios will have one as well.
we're definitely. We're gonna put you on the spot like you did to all of your guests on the Old Goat podcast.
Oh no!
We're gonna tell you, you created a new MySpace page today. It's launched. We're ready to go. Tell me what your song of choice is going to be playing on your profile.
Oh, Josh. Got to put me on the spot. I'm a music nerd. Like, I'm such a huge audiophile, as our friends on Total Spot Fest say. Like, it's hard for me to pick one song. But it would have to be something good. I don't. You're gonna make me look up songs. Really, it's ridiculous. Shoot, I'd go with stuff. I would probably go with stuff that people haven't heard. Like, there's a band from the late '90s I liked a lot, and so does our friend Gabe. Our good friend Ben Miller. It's a band called Hum, and the name of the song is Stars. It has been used in a couple of commercials, but it's so 90s. Like, it's so 90s. I think I'd bring that little nostalgia feel back.
Absolutely.
What about you?
And again, I was gonna say, I'm not nearly as big of as a music, fan as you are. I do like to listen to music, obviously, but the song that I picked for your podcast when you asked me, and I don't know if you ever put two and two together yet. I'm sure you did at this point, but I picked "Carry On My Wayward Son" because this was 3 months. I think it was 2 shows before we actually had a show called Wayward Son. So I kind of put a little hint, nod on that one.
I put 2 and 2 together.
And that's I was a big Supernatural fan. So when we started Fountain City, I was like, dude, we got to have a show at some point in time that's called Wayward Son or Carry On or something that kind of gives a nod to them. So, but if I had to do it, I'm gonna keep with that theme, and I'm gonna pick. I would probably do at least my first song. I would change it up, but know what you did in the dark by Fall Out Boy, which also says "Light 'Em Up," which in turn is another Fountain City nod. So
this is off topic a little bit. There is a band called Rev Theory.
Love it. Love Rev Theory.
Light It Up.
I love that song too.
Yeah, that song is the one that I thought that you should have played before the event started. We're about to light it up.
I had that, and I had the Fall Out Boy one both. Like, I wanted to do it, but like the chaos and everything doing a show that I totally forgot until after the show was over.
Don't have to tell me. I totally understand. Been to many, many, many first shows. But maybe I'll hold you to that for Light It Up 3.
Light It Up 3. It's gonna happen. I'll get both songs to play before we have our first match. So
yes, sir. Yeah, I think we'd have a lot of fun if MySpace comes back.
I agree. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a friends list full of webcam selfies and top 8 lists? And
I'm telling you, might be a little different this time around, but
oh yeah.
I'd have to make it look like a webcam selfie.
Yeah, you put it in like Canva or Photoshop and make it grainy. Yeah.
Or what I would do is set my phone by a mirror and then hold up a camera like I'm taking my picture with the camera. Totally classic.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great. Well, Brian, that about does it for MySpace, man. I almost hit it. Like, look at this. What I said before the show, I said I'm estimating we're going to go roughly about 45 minutes, and we're at 44 minutes.
You did.
Wow. That's great.
100%. I will never doubt you again. I said 30. So.
But we will be a little bit more than that because we're going to tease our next episode. And this is an episode. This is the first episode, really, that Brian J. is suggested. So we jumped right on it. And we're getting a movie from June as going to be our theme for the show. We're going to do a movie of the month we're in. And we're going with the Blues Brothers. Trying to get there it is. There's the graphic for those watching live. The Blues Brothers. Tell us a little bit, not just like a quick synopsis of what the overall concept of the premise of the Blues Brothers is.
Okay, Josh. So the Blues Brothers is basically two brothers who were foster kids, and they were raised by nuns, and then they're going to shut down the foster home that the kids are in. So they're trying to get their band back together so they can play a big gig, give the money to the nuns so that they can save the place.
And a whole bunch of chaos ensues in between.
It's an adventure. If you have not seen it, you're missing out on one of the great American movies.
I agree. And I missed out for 37 years of my life, and I just watched it for the very first time 2 weeks ago.
Yep, I got you to watch it.
You did? We did.
Did you finish it?
I did. It's over. It's done.
Okay, good.
So I have everything, and we will have a good episode next week as we go back. Man, what was that, 1980?
Yeah, that was 1980.
1980, man.
Came out in June of 1980.
It's crazy.
It was such a fun movie, and it's so quotable.
Yeah, and it's it's a super young Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and I mean Carrie Fisher's in it, and we're not gonna get into it now, but we got a lot of cameos.
Ridiculous amount of cameos.
Oh yeah. I was texting you through it, and I was like, "Is he really in this movie? Did I really see him? Yeah.
Did I see this guy? Yep. Yes, you did.
Oh man. All right. Well, that'll be next week, next Tuesday, which is the 17th. Is that correct? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Tuesday the 17th, same time, same place as always. Brian, you got anything else to add about MySpace before we close out of here?
I don't think I do. All right. Other than let's bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Bring back MySpace. Hashtag it. Let's do it. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for listening. This has been episode 35. Next week, we're talking Blues Brothers. I am your host, the real Josh Elliott. This is my co-host, Brian J. Baby. And as always, let's get nostalgic.
Rewind the time, crank up the glow. Back when Blockbuster ruled the show. From slap bracelets to Saturday tunes, cartoons hit different.